Several months ago, I woke up and I decided we were going to take our company global. I didn't know what I was saying then. I didn't know the amount of work that's required to do something like that. I didn't know how we were going to do it and how we are going to do it, but I was convinced we're going to do it anyways. See, currently, Africa as a continent is sitting in this very interesting position where a lot of exciting stuff are happening. I mean, you've got more than half of the population are young adults who also know how to use digital devices and tech savvy, right? So you see a lot of interest coming out of all these other different continents for investment and whatnot. You hear the media, the news, the propaganda, and you're also starting to find out things like how a lot of the mines, a lot of the resources within the continent don't even belong to the local countries. Now, over time, all this stuff is just going to come out and a lot of opportunities are going to come out business-wise, right? But one thing that a lot of people overlook is also the creative industry. And so we are building in the creative space, right? And so one of the things that is quite advantageous that the digital spaces have done for the whole world is that they've created a level playing field. See, there's nothing stopping from someone who codes from a country like Zimbabwe, Ghana, Nigeria, from being better than a coder who's sitting in Europe, America. And I've heard this countless times, is that from people that have already started working for companies that might be foreign from first world countries, is that what's very common is that people from first world countries, a lot of the times, have so many things going good for them that they complain about every little thing, and the work ethic is sometimes not the same, because whereas people in Africa might be used a lot more to survival in a lot of these countries, right? So they come, when they get opportunities to work for companies like that, immediately they come and want to show their best foot forward because they know an opportunity like this will probably not come anytime soon, right? So what does that mean for us as a company? And what is actually our strategy for building a company that can serve on the international market and compete with international companies? The first thing that we actually need to realize is that global brands are built on trust, consistency, clarity, and it's not just about location. Let me give a bit of an example. A lot of us have probably been in a position where an Indian scammer tried to scam us. And there's this big misconception when it comes to working with Indians. That ties in a lot with brand trust and brand perception, right? Consistency and clarity. And so one thing for sure is that when you're building a brand that needs to appeal to the global market, immediately, a lot of the times, people will immediately just want to go, okay, let's go into the global market and start doing what we do. I think first thing is to understanding what works within your local market, in my own opinion, and building a trustworthy brand within your own local market before you even think of going outside, right? Because there, then the competition is much higher, the expectations are much more. So ideally, what helps with that in my case is that you firstly need to look at it from thinking about outcomes rather than geography. Us being in a country like Namibia, all the way down south, if you look at the standard of what can be produced locally, a lot of the times it might be very disappointing. And so if you intend on competing in the broader marketplace, ideally what I like to do is compare what other people are doing in other countries and then compare that to what you are doing. Because then what it creates is that it immediately deletes all what you would consider as competitors. You stop looking at their stuff, and you're disinterested. And then you end up looking at what actually matters, which is the direction you're looking to go, right? The standard that you're looking to play at, but still doing this from where you're at. So ideally, it allows you then to look better already in your own local markets. One of the greatest things we've also decided to do when it comes to building our brand is being very loud on social media, or being more active on social media. The one beautiful thing, once again, that the digital space has allowed us to do is that you are able to reach a lot more people than you could have maybe 20 years ago. And people are now so interested in people's lives that they want to follow other people's journeys. So as we share our journey of how we are building a company that intends on competing and serving on the international market, more people tap into this story and more people start vouching for us. So then through this social media, we're able to build relationships. For example, I had one podcast guest that I just had yesterday, owns a dealership in Germany, sells Bugattis, drives Ferraris, drives Lamborghinis, wearing $1 million watches. And all of a sudden, we connect through social media. And now when he's in the country, he's like, oh yeah, let's do that podcast. I get to connect now with people in other countries. Another instance, we post a video on TikTok. Someone messages and says, hey, I'd love you to connect with this lady, blah, blah, blah. She does this and that and that. Turns out the lady's from South Africa. I'm like, great, let's work, let's connect. Another instance, I've got a friend who's living in Switzerland. He's been seeing my content all the way from Switzerland. Now he's working for a newspaper company in Switzerland, and they're looking to open doors and broaden their horizon when it comes to content. What can they do to attract the young audience? We sit for lunch while he's in the country, and boom, he says, you know what? If you have the time, let's pitch something and showcase what we can possibly do for our company in Switzerland. Now, obviously, that doesn't mean guaranteed work, but it does at least give the opportunity for you to go showcase what you can actually do. So the power of social media is more than we actually realize, because now what used to be, let me move to this country, find out who's there so we can try and work on something, is just a matter of, oh, let me DM this person, let me search the geography, boom, 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 pop. So what we can learn from this is that content builds trust before conversations and opens doors in the process. Now, a lot of you might be wondering, why the hell do I have this YouTube channel? Or if in case you've ever wondered, why do I have this YouTube channel? What's up with all this content? Another thing it also does is that it helps us create what we call authority. See, I've done podcasting, I've done social media, I've done many other different things. My strategy when it came to podcasting was one simple thing. I sit with people that know what they're talking about. In the end, people will think I know what I'm talking about. And it has happened as such, which allows you to grow even quicker. Because now, if I spend all my time sitting with presidents, what would you guys think about me? Even though I am a nothing, I came from nowhere. Right? So you create a brand perception where people think, wow, I should be learning from this person. It seems like they know something. So that's what content allows you to do as well. You create a reality for yourself. You create a perception of how people can receive you. You might be the dumbest person in the world, but because you sit with the smartest people, people will just assume you're the smartest people. And so therefore, even by spending time with also the richest people, it's only a matter of time before you become one of the rich people, right? One last thing in this video that I have actually learned within this process is that global growth is accelerated with collaboration, not by chasing. See, as we try to secure clientele across borders internationally, the journey still goes on. When we get there, we'll let you know. But one big thing I need to realize, one of the guys in our podcast says that, is that you always need to look at how do you fit yourself into an ecosystem. Because when you come and start to chase or start to want to compete with a lot of other people, immediately you become the competitor. But if you fit into an ecosystem of what already exists, you create an inevitable flow where at some point you're going to feed off of what is already there. Right? So you need to understand how ecosystems work, because in an ecosystem, everyone wins. Everyone is eating out of the cake. The cake keeps growing bigger and bigger and bigger, and your piece keeps getting bigger and bigger. So understanding ecosystems and not just trying to become that person that comes and boom, shuts other businesses or takes other people out of businesses. Because good business is the kind of business that benefits everyone. So I said a lot of things in this video. If there's one thing I want you to take away out of this, is that Africa has a lot of opportunities, and understanding that the lack of opportunity is also an opportunity. So your time is now.